back to the upper receiver. And we'll put the carrier and the carrier housing back in. So here's our carrier, cleaned and oiled. And here's my carrier plunger spring and carrier pin. Grab my plunger, and remember the plunger has a blade on it. It's got to go face up or face down on that blade so that it mates with the plunger. I'm going to put it right through this. There's a hole right here. Get the whole thing to go through there. Grab my punch to give myself a little bit of help. Feed it in there, ready to go. Make sure it's aligned correctly so that blade is this way, not this way. Drop the carrier in, press it back just by hand, and line the hole up, and the pin should just almost fall through. And it should be flush on both sides, and the carrier snaps up, carrier snaps down so it functions properly. The carrier housing back on now. Remember I said they had those two little ears. Ears go forward. It just snaps into place. It might need a little help from a little tap from the hammer maybe, but okay, so let's install the safety. With the safety lever, the safety spring, and the two set screws. Notice that the safety lever has this little notch in it here. This little notch engages the trigger back here, kind of blocks the trigger movement. So we're going to set that in there like that. So that it will slide back and forth on those holes. We're going to put the spring in. The spring is a leaf spring, so we want to push it down both sides. It's got a little nub in the back here too. That nub engages these two grooves in the safety. So we'll lay it in there, and we'll get one of the screws started. Don't tighten the first screw down too far because it'll tension the spring, and then you'll have trouble getting the second screw started. So the second screw in there, we need to get it going down, and we need to be careful that we don't catch the shoulder of the screw on the safety. So I'll keep working it as I'm tightening it down, make sure that I'm not catching it. Yep. That looks good. Okay, so now let's reassemble the magazine. We have a couple of pieces that oftentimes get confused. We have the magazine cap and the magazine follower. The follower slides back and forth inside the magazine with the spring. The shells engage the flat part of the follower. It's a cup. The spring is meant to go inside the cup like that, and not the other way around. It's not a cup for the shell. If I can put it in backwards, it's very easy to get a shell stuck in that and cause a malfunction. So I want to make sure the cup goes in flat end forward, cup side back to the spring. The end cap won't go in, so it don't go fits on the end, so you can't get it mixed up with the follower. Remember we said our spring has a back end and a front end. We kept track of that when we started. The front end is a little bit narrower on this spring. You always check your springs when you pull them out. Alright, so put the plug in there. The plug had the dirty end that direction to help me remember it. Magazine clamp, and it had both the screw came in from the right hand side of the firearm. Remember that carefully when I took it apart. Put our clamp on. Get it down here, lined up with the magazine, and get our follower in here. Get everything fit together snugly. Now I'm going to keep pressure on that end cap, not the follower, the end cap. Keep pressure on that. I can line up the clamp with the markings on the barrel. And this is a pretty common place for rust, by the way. This is a good part to take off every now and again and get oil underneath it. I oiled it up before we put it on. Tighten that down. So now we've got that end cap in there. It feels nice and secure. So everything looks good there. We're ready to reassemble the stock to the rim. Now this is your opportunity, since you've been handling this now. Generally by the time you've been doing this, at this stage you've got oil on your hands. You're not putting any fingerprints, but this is a good time to put a little bit of oil on rag and just get everything to wipe down here, because this will be the last time you're going to touch it for a while. It's all going to be hidden by the stock. Nice coat of oil. Looks good. All right. Put in the together, slide these together nice and snug. There's quite a bit of play in this screw, so you want to make sure that you get it in the hole and snug that down. Okay, so now we've got the stock attached to the upper receiver. We're going to insert the bolt. In order to get the bolt into this firearm, we have to make sure that the firing pin is in the ready to fire position. That's the pulled out position, it's not opposed to the fired position. That will line up the firing pin lug with the two alignment lugs and the bolt, so that everything will slide through all the grooves that it's meant to align on. The carrier has to be in the up position, so you reach inside, push the carrier into the up position. That'll pull down, you'll see there's a little tab in the carrier that'll get that out of the way. So that now when we insert the bolt, we line up the two extractors with the extractor groove there. It slides in, bolts slide, everything goes in, and we press down, and bolts in the firing position. Now, we have to, one last screw, we have to put in the bolt retaining screw. And it has a shoulder on it, so we can tighten it down pretty snug, and well, according to the specs, and we will then have this finally assembled. Okay, so now that we have the firearm reassembled, we're ready to do a function check. So first thing we want to check in the function is the weapon's safe and pointed in the safe direction and empty. You may see that we have some dummy rounds here. These are specifically designed by and built by Remington. They have no primers, they have no powder. They do have some shot in them to give them some weight. This is for the tactical practicing. So I buy these especially for doing function checks on firearms. I do not use live rounds to do function checks. So I have some of these three dummy rounds, otherwise I have no live ammunition in the room. So what we're going to do is point the firearm in a safe direction. We're going to point towards a wall that's impenetrable to this round, or to ensure there's nothing on the other side of that wall that can be injured. We're going to physically and visually inspect the chamber and the magazine. So I'm going to put my finger in the chamber, nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine feed ramp, and nothing in the magazine. I'm going to look away, focus on something else for just a second. I'm going to take my time, look back in there, chamber is empty, magazine well is empty, magazine's empty. If I have a friend here, it's a good time to have a friend do it, because now we're going to do some function checking. So now we're going to put the safety on, pull the trigger, nothing should happen. Safety is functioning properly. Put the weapon on fire, pull the trigger, firearm goes click, just like it should. Back inside, bolt rather, back forward again, back on safety, works the way it's supposed to, back on fire, works the way it's supposed to. Everything looks tight and clean and functioning. So now we're going to load some rounds into the magazine. And this one you have to hold the bolt back. Magazine. Now if that plug is built correctly, we should only get 2 rounds in the magazine, and the third one should not go in, and it won't. So that's makes it legal for hunting that way. And we can now close the bolt, and we can close the bolt. One round comes up, round goes into locks. Now when the round comes out, it should fly clear. Next round in, it's clear. So functioning the way it's supposed to function. Feeding, ejecting, firing, and this firearm looks good to put back in the surface. So that's the J.C. Higgins Model 10 583.20. I'm Jim Humphrey with Imminent Threat Defense Firearms Training. Be safe, join the NRA, and enjoy your firearms. Thank you.